initiating heroes, just having a bat jump in first, take the Shaker out or possibly the DK out, although that's not the fastest target to kill. I think the Shaker is definitely what you want to go for. You have the Oracle for added root when you jump in as well, so that combination is really potent, and you have the Tuscan Bat Rider to start these fights for you from CDEC.
This is very strong here from CDEC. Vici Gaming, 4th pick now. Very, very tough laning stage for Vici Gaming when you're up against these kind of heroes. But they go for a Slark pickup. I didn't really see anything that really that the Slark can really capitalize off yet, but I suppose with the, someone that's going to be taking the false promise, you are essentially going to be able to get unlimited stacks while that false promise is active. So there is some added value in the Slark.
I think that's really it. Perhaps the Dispel for the Bat Rider as well, although I'm not entirely sure how often you can spam that out in lane to mitigate that stacks of Napalm, but it's something that the Slark can certainly play around. I can see the value. Of course, that works the other way around as well. When you're in your ultimate, the Bat Rider can easily spot you out, constantly spam his spells and run around you, so that's something you have to be conscious about for VG. CDEC does pick up the Ursa. You don't have the best ways to keep this guy locked down, although I want to say that I feel like the Shaker is going to be enough to put a dent in this Ursa. Like, that's the main issue with the Ursa. Just the kite ability of this hero is off the charts. And as long as the Shaker gets a good block, well, a lot of the instantaneous damage and burst that the Ursa can bring you by just running someone down is not going to be there. So CDEC has to keep an eye out on Shaker every single time. And picking it into Slark is a bit of a mixed bag as well. Like, you can kind of tank through, but the Slark does enjoy these tanky heroes. You mentioned it with the Oracle even. Now you have the Ursa as well to really pick off. You're going to have a lot of stacks in the Slark in the middle of a fight.
Certainly are. CDEC though. One ban out, Vici Gaming. They got rid of the OD. What's the OD? Very, very nice pickup up against the DK. And of course Slark as well. I wonder what they finish off here with CDEC. They still require that mid matchup for themselves. Like, they need a mid pick here. Assumedly up against the DK, but we have seen a bit of offlane DK being played as well. So I wouldn't be too shocked if Vici Gaming did throw this Dragon Knight in the offlane and picked another mid. Seems to be a very flexible pick right now, and CDEC do finish off with the Pugna. So you've got plenty of magic damage, a great Decrepify to get that disarm off. I like it. I like what I'm seeing.
It's going to be really useful for any target being jumped by the Slark as well, as long as you can get in range for the Decrep. Of course, it's a bit harder now with range scaling, so you might not be able to get that done if you don't prioritize that spell. But as long as you do get enough levels in, you should be able to save anyone being run down by the Slark. So that's a great option here for CDEC. It gives them much needed push that their lineup does lack. Like, none of these heroes melt towers particularly fast. I guess Ursa can if you wanted to, but the Pugna does it consistently and safely. So CDEC does have a way to shove out waves, take early objectives, and give themselves something to counteract the Dragon Knight's own push.
Vici Gaming, one final pick. You don't really want to have to run that DK into the mid Pugna. So I imagine this will be another mid pick up here from Vici Gaming. What shall it be, though?
It's a bit tricky. Like, the DK isn't too happy up against the Pugna, especially if you do go for a Decrep prioritization. At the same time, the DK can just play around his Breed Fire and still find something for himself. We have seen a lot of people pick, like, stuff like the Storm against Pugna. That is an option. They go with the Ember instead. So it's still the same concept. Like, you can still play around a bit there. You will be punished a bit for going in for raw right clicks if XM does get that early level of Decrep, but there's only so many times you can spam that out. You can play around your Sleight of Fist and your Flame Guard instead. So there are options there for Ori. I think this mid matchup is pretty solid for VG. You're not going to lose out too much on this Pugna though. I believe XM should still be able to get a bit of an edge, especially in level 1 to 3, when Ember Spirit doesn't quite have enough to tank through that initial damage that XM can pump out in the Pugna.
The Flame Guard is going to be a bit annoying once you do get those levels up on Ori, though. XM has to be very, very careful. Speaking of the Ember, by the way, I had the pleasure of watching support Ember yesterday. Was actually pretty effective. Essentially just becomes a 4th core. And it just does Ember Spirit things.
Yeah, I mean, you know, every time we see that early pick Ember when you and I are casting, I always have to mention that the possibility of Ember 4 is there, and I'm kind of sad I didn't get to see it, but it does work. I mean, if you say it works, and yeah, I guess the theory and everyone else saying it works, it does work.
It works.
Like,
It really does.
It's not a fringe scenario. Yeah, I mean, you give it enough space. I think that's the thing when you have these greedy pos force, right? The same thing goes with a Shaker. Same thing goes with like even something like the Magnus. You give them a little bit of space, and they'll give you a lot back. So they're heroes that really don't require too much farm, can set up so much for your team that there is value in just having it in your lineup.
Yeah. Still, game 2 will begin. Vici Gaming versus CDEC. Of course, CDEC do need to win this matchup out if they do want to force us to game number 3. Vici Gaming would love to just 2-0 the side of CDEC to get their night started. By the way, in case you weren't aware, after this series, we will also be having a second series, and that one will be between eHome versus LGD. And if you weren't watching yesterday, eHome did manage to get a 2-0 up against RNG, and they are looking very, very strong right now as well. So that should be a very exciting series between those two after this. But for now, you have to see the brilliance of CDEC versus Vici. And as per usual, when you do see a Tusk, you see the team rotate together around the Radiant jungle, trying to find somebody to really dish out that harassment with that tag team. Dragon Tail, they do find out Arme. Fisher also going to come out. Do they have enough damage? The Frost Blast will come in. James, he's there to help. He does shards, but Yang had another Dragon Tail. They may have enough damage now. Arme, no, he's going to barely walk out of there alive. That shards does end up saving the day.
Yeah, it's going to have to maybe regen back home, though. Don't think anyone has a salve nearby. Could just TP into lane. So not the biggest loss for CDEC there. They do lose out in the runes. That is something else noteworthy. At the very least, it looks like it should still end up being a 2-for-2 trade as soon as James picks up their own rune once they figure it out. Gonna be fairly even to start off with.
They'll just leave that rune for XM. He'll probably get a bottle and just use it for himself.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Or are you going to be having to do with some frustration here from XM in this mid lane? Like, the attack range from Pugna is quite frustrating to deal with. And he could just keep whacking away like this. Or he's going to burn through a hell of a lot of regen just to get to those first early levels of the Ember Spirit, it seems.
Yeah, this is where the Pugna really shines in the early levels of this matchup. You're not going to have any way of really mitigating the damage until Flame Guard level 2 to 3. So at this point, XM can just stand there, stop the right clicks with the decrep, clear out the wave with the Nether Blast, do some damage onto Ori as well when the...
Arme was getting dived on. Victoria was there with the Fortune's End to save the day. Now PYW has to be a little bit careful. I love the aggression already coming out from Vici Gaming. They aren't afraid of that Ursa early on. They just want to continue going forward and applying pressure, though. DY bot lane, he can't do the same as SRF on the Batrider does find the first blood up against that Lich.
Yeah, it's a good little pickup for our Bat. Doesn't manage to really shove out Eurus from farming here. So the Slark is still finding that. I think they're going to be happy trading the Lich away to give Eurus that space he needs to get that early farm going.
Looking back over to that mid lane, XM really dominating this lane so far. 13 and 8 on the Pugna in comparison to the 5 and 0 of Ori. Again, it's to be expected. It's nothing too surprising here. or he's just going to have to really get those levels up before he can start to be very efficient with this CS and actually apply some sort of aggression on XM. In fact, they are going to rotate PYW down now. With that level 1 Fisher, he won't really have the opportunity to throw it out onto XM. But he does at least buy a tiny bit of space for Ori.
He's going to have to invest in something like a smoke for rotation there. Really good ward from CDEC to watch any movements from that top lane.
SRF. Again, finding DY on the Lich, and now Eurus. He'll keep farming up, he'll be fine. Has the Dark Pact, of course. SRF looks like he's just going to go for a double pull on this creep wave and just maybe just Firefly it down. A Dire Courier does go down. Looks like PYW actually ends up sniping the Ursus Courier. And Ame had some extra regen. In fact, he may need it right now. Yang, Dragon Tail up. And with the Enchant Totem, they have plenty of damage to take down Ame.
It's looking like almost the kind of same story from game 1, at least in the laning phase. It's not the easiest time for Ame in this top lane. They are finding something in the bot lane, but that's mainly support kills. This kind of trade is not favorable in the long run. You would want to see CDEC apply a bit more pressure onto Eurus instead. So as long as SRF eventually hits that point on the bat where he can do so, it will pay off. But if it's really down to this, well, Eurus is number 2 in last hits. So all those support deaths don't mean anything to this core Slark.
Eurus is having a great old time. SRF going to continue harassing out DY. That is called space creation as Fisher mid lane. Ori gets the Cripper fired up. James also going to rotate in as the Tusk. Pops the tag team and gets a very nice shards. Ori, he has no way out of this. He can't even dodge with the Sleight of Fist right now. All he can do is throw chains up, but he will be able to run away. A lot of uphill misses coming, so he gets very lucky. And now they'll try to turn James. He does die, but the Purifying Flames. Victoria turns around and gets the kill. And CDEC, they'll still be very satisfied with that.
For sure. Like, that was a bit greedy coming out from our Ember to turn around trying to find those last hits for the damage, not respecting the output that CDEC does have with the Oracle. That's something a lot of teams do tend to overlook. Level 2 Purifying Flames, level 3 Oracle is actually a bit scary to try to turn on. So it's something they have to be conscious about as they take these kinds of trades, and that should give a little bit of an edge once more towards XM.
Oh, Eurus bot lane almost ends up going down, trying to man-fight SRF in his Firefly. Both of them will manage to salve up, and they will be able to walk away from the situation, though Eurus may get another chance to be aggressive. Really wants to go after this Batrider, but won't have a chance. Mid lane, however, Victoria also going to be in trouble, as PYW is going to make a chase with the Earthshaker, but can't really lock him down long enough. May at least find a courier out of this. Does eventually get it.
It's a nice little find, and if he could chase down the Ursus, did he spot it? Yeah, I think he did, but a bit too fast for him. Misses out. Would have been a nice little additional gold injection, although down mid.
Yeah, they do get it to creep off. James is going to be there with the tag team and shards. Fortune's end to fly in. Ori going to be in huge trouble. Sleight of Fist, it's not going to be enough. He desperately wants that level 6 mark to have those remnants up, but CDEC just playing it so well, being so aggressive with these rotations, and now top lane, Ame does drop, and I guess it's a problem when you rotate 2 supports like that. You do leave your POS 1 sitting there very, very vulnerable to the rotations of Vici.
But this is something that CDEC seems to be very content with. They always want to ensure XM has that earlier start, and they have confidence that Ame will find a farm anyway. So this does seem to be their game plan. Just getting that early advantage with XM. In fact, XM with level 6 hits really hard onto Ori.
DY mid lane going to be in trouble and does get bursted down. XM picks up the kill on the Pugna. Continues forcing in that tier 1 mid tower. Eurus, bot lane, does go down. SRF with the Firefly and Ame with the rotation on the Ursa. They do find that position 1 Slark, who has been freely farming this whole time. He's currently at 42 last hits, 8 denies on that Slark. Still mid lane. Fortune's End going to come in. There is still no level 6 on Ori. He's at that level 5 mark, about to pop the level 6. They do find James and XM. Still trying to fight. He does TP, but PYW cancels that off with the enchant, so he will just try to life drain away. Victoria doesn't know what to do to help here. Another enchant totem does eventually get the kill here with Ori, and now they dive on to Victoria. Ori is level 6, and they do pay for it heavily on the side of CDEC.
Yeah, that was a really forward movement, and a lot of aggression coming out from CDEC to try to secure those constant kills on our Ember, but they just don't have enough in the end to clear out Ori. I think the moment they gave a bit too much space for the sports to get what they needed done, and once PYW had the utility to stun up multiple times, you can't get that combo off as safely as you'd want. So something they have to really keep an eye out on. You also do have better vision from VG now. They got the D wards off earlier on, and they have some aggressive wards now. So they have a lot more leeway here on VG's side to counteract these movements from CDEC and sort of preempt that aggression.
Speaking of those wards, Victoria will find one of them. Mid lane, a bit of harassment out onto Ori. Does have a remnant, so he will be fine. He just XM's just trying to be annoying and force Ori away from these creeps. Again, Decrepify. Such a low cooldown on this ability. Top lane. SRF being caught out though. Nice snowball save. Eurus is still going to be there with Yang. They try to take the DK out before they die. SRF doesn't know where to run here. He gets the lasso off though. Eurus, he does Dark Pact it off. They do get Yang, but they'll lose SRF in the process. Eurus will get himself some very, very nice permanent agility.
Not the way you'd want that trade to go for VG. You definitely wanted that a bit cleaner. You did kind of trap yourself in a situation with no going out. So, a bit of a weird spot to try to force that fight, especially against a Bat Rider. Like, he enjoys those tightly wound up areas, along with a Tusk around. So that was just kind of asking for trouble. Still, Eurus going to be happy with that pickup, and CDEC does, in the end, stop that push into Tier 1. So they've given themselves some more space to play around their own jungle here, for the moment.
Ame, nice jump forward. DY, going to get caught out by himself. DY's Frost Shield being quite annoying with the slow, but Ame does eventually claim the kill and will go back for the outpost. And he certainly has time to get it as well. That'll mean that Vici Gaming are going to try and fight for this top outpost, but CDEC are there to protect it. And it looks like poor old PYW is going to be completely surrounded, and SRF will be able to pick up a kill on the Bat Rider.
Yeah, they got the kill. They got the defense onto that outpost to get themselves a lot of EXP. And a lot more with that exchange. VG kind of slipping up, giving a lot of openings towards CDEC. 7 to 9, less than 1k advantage for CDEC, but you're not worrying about the ALK effect in this case. So you have a lot more leeway for that goal to be up. I do want to point out, we are seeing Ami build into what looks to be a Battle Fury on the Ursa, so just gonna go for a bit of a farm-heavy build here.
Yang will be fine. Just TP's out. Doesn't want to deal with the Ursa 1v1. It's a very dangerous predicament to be in. Yeah, Battle Fury seems fine. Like with the buffs to it, like it does allow you to kind of fight as well. Like now, it's not just a pure farming item, right? In fact, never mind that thought for a second. SRF was being chased down. But what I was trying to say is you are able to fight quite a bit more now with those added buffs to the Battle Fury.
For sure. I don't know. I just feel iffy about going for the Battle Fury still. Maybe I'm just a bit too stuck up on the old notion of Battle Fury. It will give him a lot more farm. Like, in the end, it will still do that job. I just don't see the value in this kind of lineup for the cleave. Like, no one here in particular is going to be an issue with that cleave. So, just
Vici.
a bit of a...
Yang. Snowball. Shards don't really latch him in, but XM is there with the Decrepify. Nether Blast as well as the Life Drain. Not quite enough. Yang does walk away. They do find DY on the Lich. In fact, never mind. Yang is still going to be in trouble. XM just running so quick right now, and Decrepify again. Such a low cooldown. So it does eventually get him. Bot lane, however, Ame can just Earthshock across the Fissure. And that'll actually block Eurus in. Can't really chase down this Ursa at all.
Yeah, CDEC again just going to be happy with how these early exchanges are going. I think you're going to be starting to see them really play around XM. So they're going to be shoving that top tier 1. They're going to be applying pressure all across the map, trying to shut down the jungles, shut down the farm of VG with his Pugna.
It's like Yang's going to be just focusing on going after a Blink Dagger on this Dragon Knight, so just wants to have that initiation up against the side of CDEC. It does seem relatively important as well, because you do want to either get the Oracle or the Pugna going into these fights. Either one of them being left alone is going to create a lot of chaos, as you are going to have so much heal coming out. So at least you do have that form of initiation from the DK as well. And you can also see Eurus, he's trying to get a Shadow Blade up on this Slark, and I guess that is rather effective as well, just being able to break that gap and really pick off the target you want. Though now Arme does get Eurus, but of course he can just pounce away. Meanwhile, SRF does go down to the top lane to PYW and bot lane. They are going after DY. It'll be a nice easy Lich pickup for the side of CDEC.
Yeah, just trading a support for the offlaner there. A bit better going the way of VG, I want to say. Bigger target than that Batrider to clean up, but you are really starting to choke out the farming areas for Eurus. Really good forward aggression from CDEC means that the Slark can't quite freely farm as he'd want.
Doing the moonwalk. SRF gonna chase down Ori, but he will run it away. However, Snowball gonna be there onto the Earthshaker PYW, though he will be fine. Chainfrost now to fly out, but you've got a lasso on DY. He still survives. James, what a nice chance to get over the Fisher. Oh. He's actually gonna get out of there as well, but no, the Breathe Fire is there. XM also loses his life, and this looks like a great team fight for Vici Gaming, and now the Echo PYW jumps in, finds 2 of them. They do get Arme. They're gonna find SRF as well. A great pounce from Eurus, and it's a full team wipe coming out from Vici Gaming.
Oh man, it looked like CDEC was actually going to be setting the pace of that one. They had the Invis on the Tusk, he rolls in, he tries to find a key target. They don't manage to blow up PYW, that's the big thing. Like, he drops down low enough, but they never managed to clean up. He lives long enough to drop that Echo on top of the Ursa. And it just kind of falls apart there. You don't see anything in play yet from CDEC. Like, the Ursa's been giving a lot of space to farm, but when you're farming for a Battle Fury first and slowly building up in the parts, that means you're... You know, you don't really have much in the way of durability right now. It's really just kind of damage and some sustain. And that is going to be the issue for CDEC on the Ursa until the item after the Battle Fury comes out. So we're going to have to wait for that one. Eurus is going to be in a very good spot. Has 5 Agi stacks now. So a good start for our Slark. Not as much as a lot of the more active games we've seen. But this does give him a bit of an edge when it comes to just getting a little bit more damage out there.
Eurus has almost got the full silver edge up as well. That is going to hurt the side of CDEC quite a bit. Eurus' farm is just way too fast on this Slark. Not to mention, he's followed up by Yang in terms of net worth, so top 2 net worths on the board are Vici Gaming. They might even find another great team fight, as they've got the high ground. Victoria won't go up the high ground, of course, because he does spot out his wards going down. But Eurus, with the Shadow Blade, will jump straight on top of Victoria, who does get decrepified. But Eurus is going to stick around. He gets the pounce off. Still False Promise will save Victoria for now, but he should eventually go. DY does lose his life, and James also going down here from Ori. PYW, meanwhile, loses his life to XM. Vici now need to get Ori out of here, but he's lost his life to Arme. So, ultimately... Victoria ends up surviving, by the way, through that False Promise. I thought Eurus was going to have enough damage. And it ends up being a 3-for-1 trade, CDEC. finding the advantage.
It's a really split up fight from VG. They didn't quite lock into any single target for too long. Felt like they were focusing on multiple targets at once. They don't quite have the damage to get that done just yet. And they are punished for trying to fit a bit more than they can chew there. So, not going to be too happy with that exchange. I'm sure it was a bit surprising for Eurus to not net that kill. He did walk away very early on from that false promise. If he just stuck around for like maybe 5 more last hits, that could have been it. But he just instead opted to just walk away, call his loss, because the rest of the team was falling at that point, and just get away safely, which does cost him that kill. He gets away with his life, and CDEC does manage to swing a little bit gold back, just dropping it to a 2k lead for VG. But they are still waiting on a few more items. You see that Battle Fury up on Ame. That will lead to a very fast BKB coming up afterwards, and I think that's the point where Ame is going to be comfy to stand in front.
You've also got PYW though. He's got a full blink up now on the Earthshaker. The fight has broken out up the top lane. They do jump onto James. James though going to just keep moving forward here onto Yang. Still a very tanky target on that DK, but they've got 4 or 5 heroes up there. They're waiting for a nice echo opportunity, but they'll throw Ame in there first, and Yang needs help. No official will come out in time. So Vici Gaming, are they going to go back in? Eurus, he's underneath the sentry right now. He'll be fine. Looks like CDEC just wanted the DK kill, and we know with that kill and with a bit more farm, Ame finds himself on top of the net worth board all of a sudden.
They've given a lot back towards the way of CDEC with just those small skirmishes we've seen from both sides, and CDEC, of course, going to be very happy with how the exchange have been going. They are on a kill lead. They still are about 1k behind, but you're going to be very satisfied with where Ame is. He is inching ever closer to that BKB. Not only that, but, you know, SRF should be picking up his Blink Dagger fairly soon, just about 100 gold away from that one. And that is going to give you way more opportunities to start these fights. Just managing to immediately pick off that backline, or perhaps catch the Slark off guard right after Dark Pack goes off. Or even PYW. I think he's actually the highest priority target, because he's always kind of hiding there. He's always holding on to that slam. You don't want that. Should try to scout out that shaker and kind of take him out before anything else can happen.
Eurus going to go for the Ags now on the Slark as well, so just really wants that long pounce range. Been a while since we've seen the Slark go for that build, but I do enjoy it personally as Eurus. Silver Edge up. Chain's going to be there. Decrepify going to save James for now. They actually want Eurus to jump in, and he does, and immediately Ame will follow up, and now the lasso comes out. No Dark Pack available, though Echo does come in, but it's all too late in the snowball. It was there in time. James is still alive. He gets a Walrus Punch, and he does survive through all of this. In fact, never mind, the Chain Frost kept bouncing towards him, so the false promise, it wasn't enough. But a great team fight from CDEC. And Ori... Oh, Earthshock does not get him over the ledge for Ame, but... Still, Ori would have probably gotten away anyway. CDEC, I don't think they'll be unsatisfied. In fact, as the team fight's still going, they jump in for a Dragon Tail on the Pugner. He'll be perfectly fine. Victoria will just heal him up. And CDEC look to back off and get back to a bit of farming.
That's the exact thing that we were just talking about earlier. Once that Batrider had the blink, they had the options to jump in. Eurus was not ready for it, was not playing like he had to worry about the blink initiation, and gets punished hard as Yang drops as well.
The offlane DK just not being able to sustain the damage coming out from CDEC right now. Does hurt quite a lot. CDEC will immediately smoke up. On Eurus, he would be probably the best target you could ask for. Shows himself up top. They don't have lasso, but they do in a second. Silver Edge going to be there. SRF drops the sentry, gets the lasso off. No Dark Pact in time, and that means Eurus is dead.
I'm not sure what he was expecting there. Like, he was walking in the jungle area. He knew it was warded because he didn't have his buff on from Shadow Dance. He was walking slower. He should have known there was like a laning ward, and they might have made a move onto him. Playing really risky on that. Slark gets punished hard. And CDEC again going to be very satisfied with finding these easy pickoffs on a hero that should otherwise be a lot more slippery than this.
It's going to slow down that Ags timing on the Slark as well. Arme does finish off that top tier 1 now. They are going to find a couple objectives before they do end up backing out. It's still a very, very even game. Like, you look at that net worth graph, and it was going very nicely for Vici, upwards to around 4k, but we are now back the way of CDEC by about 1k. Not too big of a deal when you're 22 minutes in. Both teams just more than happy to farm up a little bit, and I say that, Arme, he just wants to fight right now. Eurus is around, and Arme is alone, but they don't know that. So Arme will survive another day. He has a 10-second BKB charge anyway, so I'm sure he's feeling very, very safe.
Yeah, I mean, just the aggression from CDEC, they're posturing on this Radiant side jungle, playing in the area where VG should be farming up, and VG just kind of forced to walk together. They don't have that space to farm up themselves. Every single time they've dipped into that top jungle, they've been punished hard, and that's down to the good vision that CDEC really just has right now. They understand where VG wants to go, they understand what they have to do, and they smoke up. Oh.
SRF on the chase. Flame break, not really going to knock him back. James is going to be there with the shards and doesn't get the lock, but Yang still going to get stunned up by Snowball. Echo comes in though, PYW stops the lasso, and now Ori jumps in as well. It's a lot of damage coming out with that Chain Frost. They do burst 2 down immediately. Now Eurus straight onto Arme, who has finished up his BKB. Unfortunately, his charge has been finished up as well. And Ori, well, he's going to run away now because XM is kind of turning this, and Arme will be able to find the Ember Spirit. A great start, but you lost your DK and you lost your Ember. And after the Echo was committed, they just had nothing else to use.
It came down to the fact that they just couldn't get the damage onto that Ursa. Like, he staggered the use of his BKB and his Enrage. And that just bought enough time that he could turn around, get the hits on when VG was still trying to get the control onto him. And it doesn't quite work out, although there is a smoke down from VG. They still want to find something with Eurus.
XM wouldn't be a bad target, but looks like they'll find James. No settle. Nice easy pick off. They need to back off heaps quick. Eurus gonna be there. SRF. They will be able to pick up the ES. So support for a support. 2 bounty runes each. Vici Gaming, it just seems as though the one real important thing for them right now in this game is they need that tier 1 mid tower. So they'll start onto the Pugna, but Decrepify's there. Yang gets the Dragon Tail off, but it's not really going to matter. But Eurus, he'll man fight up against this Ursa. And now Lasso will catch out Yang. And when you're up against the Pugna, the DK really isn't as tanky as you would hope. Just gets blown up.
XM really itemized to bully out VG's advantage in terms of physical damage and physical durability there. He has been building up in the Dagon. It is a Dagon 4 now. So, you know, the moment he's there, they really are gone. And it's not too hard for him to get that done. Decrep, and then Dagon, and then boom. You know, it's pretty quick, especially if you start with a Batrider. It's important to get that lasso off first, because you do have the BKB on Yang. So they have to commit that control and then get the burst damage on, but I'm sure they're not going to be too unhappy about killing off a core like that.
To make matters worse for Yang, there's a Basher now available in Arme. And that Basher's not going to care for the BKB. So Yang, he's the tanky offlane hero. Won't really mind dying quite as much as Ori or Eurus. Top lane, they have found the Dragon Tail off with an Echo, and that's a lot of damage on Arme, but the false promise Victoria. Now they try and fight back. Yang pops his BKB. Startling Gaze is going to be there, and Eurus will also join. They need to help out this Ursa ASAP. False promise will keep him alive. He gets his own BKB off, and now the Snowball will save, but they've jumped on Victoria. Can they get Arme out of here? They're still trying. Lasso is there from the Batrider, but they do eventually find Arme. And with that, you've used up Lasso, and you're going to lose SRF anyway, it seems. Or no, they definitely will. Ori will come in from the side, cleans that one up. Vici Gaming, that's a really massive team fight for them.
Yeah, they managed to find the kills they wanted there. It looked a bit messy at the start. You know, they didn't really get enough damage to burn through Ame quickly enough, but they did manage to stagger it out that they couldn't get the counterfight they wanted. So CDEC just couldn't find a way back in there. They lose their Ursa. They do drop their advantage just a touch, and this should give VG the space they need to get a decent push going. They clear out that mid-tier 1, which is already very low. I would have loved to see a few more ward drops here. Maybe a lot more forward control, especially in that jungle area, just to give them some leeway, some more avenues to force out these fights, as this is where they've found the most success, you know, forcing the fights onto CDEC, and instead of playing around the vision and control that CDEC does have. So they miss out a bit in that opportunity for a forward warding mission, but still managing to stave off CDEC's slow rise up here.
Smoke now, gonna come out of CDEC. Running up to high ground, DY breaks the smoke, but they go straight after PYW. Echo wasn't available anyway, but they do find 2 support kills, and this should open up the Roshan. Of course, you have an Ursa, so things tend to go a little bit faster. DY will buy back, so they do indicate they are willing to fight. CDEC, have they found another? It will be Ori. And Ori doesn't currently have any remnants available. There'll be one up soon. Does have a double damage room bottled up, but the Roshan just going down so quick. It gives a very nice lead over the CDEC. Like, you're going to be feeling very comfortable as this dies side, and Vici Gaming just going to remain on the back foot for at least another few minutes.
It's going to be a big issue for VG to try to find the damage onto Ami now. They kind of struggle with 1 life and the False Promise. 1 life, false, 2 lives and False Promise now. I don't think they have enough to really focus down on the Ursa. I think in this case, if they will force a fight from VG, they ought to look towards other targets. XM is the big one. He's been a massive torrent to their side. He's just been allowed to stand there, get the Decreps off, get the Dagons off every single time. I think they should focus on trying to burn through this really squishy Pugna in the first place. Punish that kind of hero. And ignore the Ursa for now. You know, if you clean up everyone else around the Ursa, it should be possible for VG to run away. Although, again, with a basher up on Ame, running away gets a little bit harder when you get bashed up.
But if you are Vici, you're just going to avoid any kind of team fight. Like, you're going to wait for that Aegis to expire. You know, you're not actually going to try and make anything happen yet.
Yeah, I mean, that should be the game plan, but, you know, if anything does break down, which we tend to see, you know, sometimes you're just forced into an engagement, Ursa should not be your priority. You should really not aim for it. Like, some cases you could argue that taking out the Aegis is enough. I think when you're playing with an Ursa in the pool, there's just so much leeway for the Aegis user that you can delay your use of the BKB, for sure, into that second life, because you probably are guaranteed to get it off with a False Promise. So you don't want to take that risk, and VG is playing a lot more cautiously this time around. They are just opting to pull back, farm up, and take their time. They have narrowed that gold advantage that CDEC does have. It was a 3k peak, down to just 1k advantage for them. So in terms of itemization, there isn't too big of a gap between VG and CDEC, which does help them out a bit more. I think it's down to the fact that stuff like the Pugna, going for the Dagon build, it does taper off once BKBs start popping up, and you do have Yang. He's had his BKB for a while, so he's not going to burn down as fast if you don't commit the control, and that is certainly something VG can play around with quite well. And the build up towards the Ags are slowly there. Ori is about 3 parts off, 2.5k, so right around 500 gold off for his Ags. And you do have the Ags on Eurus.
Smoke up. CDEC. Of course, with that Aegis, want to make something happen right here, right now. You have the Abyssal Blade coming out now on Arme. It's a big power spike for this Ursa. Heaven's Halberd there on Yang as well. And Eurus actually finds himself a double damage rune, so this could be some unfortunate timing for CDEC. Suddenly Vici say, we've got a double damage, let's go try and fight. They've also got an Ags up now on Ori. It's a much greater presence with those remnants, and they do jump in. Straight onto James. Get rid of that tusk. Make sure there's no snowball saves, and now pounce in, pounce out. Arme, disarmed. Gonna be chased down. And they actually find him. They do get the chains. He is the one with the Aegis though, so perhaps you don't really want to aim him first, but Abyssal straight onto Eurus, and now SRF. He didn't find the lasso in time. He didn't actually get it off in Eurus with that Shadow Dance, just rushing onto that Bat Rider with Ori. They will find SRF in time. Now onto the Oracle, and Vici Gaming, they are winning this team fight really heavily, as they all are also going to find the Ursa. And they should be able to finish this off very nicely. Arme going to try and fight back up against Eurus. No chance of that happening. A triple kill will come out from Ori on the Ember. And even with the Aegis, Vici Gaming, they understood when they could fight.
Yeah, they just found the right targets. Like, they aimed for the backline first. They take out the Tusk. They ensure that the Bat Rider doesn't get that lasso off timely. And it all comes together. I think the big thing was, of course, we did see Ori's Ags come into play. We did see Eurus's Ags as well. So those two big item pickups for these heroes enabled them to get that distance and the reach to pick up on those two supports that are really sustaining that. And of course, blowing up XM doesn't hurt. So you have all of these capabilities for VG to clean up the backline. This is when CDEC should be a lot more cautious about their positioning. They're going to have to bait VG in to a target and then jump on that, ensure that everything else is ready on hand, that they can get the false promise off in the key target, not forced to use it on their own support, and that they can get the Tusk to be disrupted.
Well, CDEC gonna lose that final outer tower. Vici Gaming with a very nice 6k net worth lead. This graph will update very, very soon with that. In fact, make it 7k now that that tower's down. Do find a Bastion now on Eurus as well, so he's got plenty of lockdown potential. It's going to make the life of this Ursa a lot harder. Looks like Arme is going to try and build into his own MKB. CDEC. Just staying grouped as 5. No smokes available right now, though maybe on the courier. No, looks like SRF will just bring a gem out. Whoa, Remnant forward. Yang straight away jumping on the Oracle. They're going to take him out. Now they can definitely take the team fight. PYW gets there with the Echo as well. SRF taken down by Ori, who's on a double. Arme, he has no choice but to fight. And he gets bashed through the BKB. He can't TP. There's a Shadow Dance there from Eurus. They're going to be able to find this position 1 Ursa as well. And that's 3 heroes down for CDEC without buyback available. Another huge victory for the side of Vici Gaming.
CDEC is just not playing cautiously enough. Like, they're still jumping in like they're ahead. They can burst heroes down fast, but they're just not finding the right targets in this case. And it is being punished hard by VG. They can't even blow up the Shaker anymore with that Decrep Dagon combination as well. So the burst damage is starting to taper off just a bit here.
They're going to go for that mid-Rax now. Nothing to stop them. They should, in theory, find a bit more if they are willing to, as there's no buybacks on the Ursa, but they will play cautiously. Eurus, he had no mana left. He just wants to reset. I mean, you found 1 Rax after being behind. Can't be unhappy with that if you're Vici Gaming. Not to mention, those tier 4 items are going to be coming up very, very soon.
Yeah, that's going to give you a lot more to play around with. Of course, once those hit the pool and You would want to just kind of secure that for yourself. You really don't want CDEC to have easy access to the jungle. So I expect VG to just kind of play forward, try to lock that jungle out. Not much vision coming out from VG still. Like they don't really have wards up here in the top jungle, so that's something CDEC can take advantage of if they do leave their base. Unfortunately, they have been pushed up against their base after losing that Rax. They don't want to take any big chances here.
They're gonna smoke. Seems as though they don't want to be locked in. They want to try and take a team fight. BKB immediately popped by SRF, but the Dark Pact was there from Eurus in time, so the lasso is wasted. Oh, and Yang, he's got the Aghanims. So that Black Dragon's now coming up.
Ooh.
Yeah, free pathing for Yang once he's in that dragon form, and well, most of those tier 4 items as well are going to be going to the way of Vici. Seems as though CDEC are going to quickly try and rush through their jungle and find as many as they can. But they could go into a team fight as Ori just jumps straight in. He doesn't mind, but Eurus has to be a little bit careful. He pounces out. A nice vision from PYW. The Ursa going to try and fight up against Yang, but again, with that free pathing, he can just kite this Ursa out. Eurus looking for XM on that Pugna. He doesn't want any disruptions, but these Decrepifiers going to be too hard to go through, but PYW cancels the TP of the Pugna, and Ori will take care of the Pugna as Victoria has been caught out. He does end up using False Promise, but that's going to give more stacks away to Eurus as he just continues to right-click away. And again, 3 heroes down with no buyback, and that should be at least 1 more Rax for Vici. More than likely 2.
There's just no way CDEC can safely defend this one. They expended the lasso earlier on. They've got great items on Ame, but you're seeing the issues of the Ursa here. He's just being fighted around hard, and they do just call it.
Yeah. You can't blame him. Like, it looked close for the first half of the game, and as you can tell by the win probability, there was a stage where CDEC were looking to be the favorites, and it was fairly even most of this game number 2. But Vici Gaming, just one good team fight, and it was just all going their way. And with that, John, that is the first series of the night over. Luckily for us, there is a very, very exciting series coming up. eHome versus PSG LGD will be coming up next. And of course, with a new series, we have a new 1v1 to decide who gets pick or side priority. And I wonder who the Chinese community have picked out of these teams to commit to that 1v1. Who would you like to see, by the way, from those teams, John? Do you have any players you'd really like to see in a 1v1 matchup from eHome and LGD?
That one, I would like to see eHome LGD. You know what? I want to see the Pos 5s, X-Nova versus Y. Just get it done. Have them do something like, I don't know, CM versus, what else is kind of even? CM versus Oracle. Just do something like that. That would probably take a lot longer than you'd expect. Oh, man.
Well, they have a 10-minute limit, I should mention. Only 10 minutes allowed, John. After that 10-minute mark, you do get forced to either... It goes down the list. Like, it's net worth into last hit... Well, it's kills into net worth into last hits into... Yeah, it just keeps going until you find an advantage. And apparently, if absolutely everything is even, then they just do a coin toss anyway. So... So in that case, they're just like, okay, screw it. Just do the coin toss after all that time. But still, the likelihood is that's never going to happen. It is MLP Dota and johnxfire. We'll be back as soon as that 1v1 is up, and should be a good one. We'll see you then.